How you doing, gardeners? Ed and Delia with Fresh Picked Acres of Kansas. I'm going to show you how we put our row covers on using hoops. For putting on the row covers, you're going to need a hammer. You're going to want 2 stakes. I'm using rebar T-stakes, but you can use wooden stakes, but you need 2 T-stakes. You are going to need 2 zip ties, approximately 12 inches in length. You are going to want to measure at least your first one that you lay out. We lay ours out every 10 feet. We do use tomato twine to help add a support, a ridge to our hoops. And last but not least, we're going to want to have sandbags to place next to each hoop. So depending on the number of hoops you want, you're going to want to have enough sandbags to cover to be laying next door, just as we have right here along the side. So the first thing I want to do is, I already know approximately where I'm going to be because we've already done many of these. You don't want to hit your water line, but we're going to start out putting my stake at an angle. So hammer that in, I don't know, 3/4 of the way. That's pretty good. We're going to leave it right there. We'll go on to the next step. The next step I want to do is go ahead and press in my hoops, making sure they're nice and solid on each side. This is going to be the last hoop, and it will connect to my T-stake. So we want to have one hoop on each end relatively close. You're going to want to measure and place your hoops every 10 feet. I've already got mine already marked, so I'm not going to have to continue doing that. But using every 10 feet seems to work. So let me go on down and take care of that. So we have all of our hoops already in place. Now we're going to go ahead and put a T-stake or our stake on the other end again, now making sure we hit our water line that's underneath. So we'll give it some room here, and let's hammer this end in. And again, you're doing at a nice 45-degree angle because there's going to be a lot of pressure put up against this. That's good enough. All right, let's go ahead. We're ready now to go ahead and tie our tomato twine as a support, as our ridge support.
We're using tomato twine to anchor it to here so this is more stable, and then we're going to put it over each one to create a top ridge here so that doesn't sag between the arches.
Okay.
So I go over once, and then I come and go over the other side so that it's a little bit more sturdy, and then I pull it nice and tight. This side, over on that side. Sometimes you need to wiggle it a little bit so it gets nice and tight. We're at a last hoop, so we've got one more to do, and then we'll anchor it to the stake at the end.
All right. right, the last thing we have to do is make sure there that we know which way the wind's coming from, because when we go to unroll the fabric, generally speaking, you want to go with the wind. So we're going to start on the uphill side and we'll start bringing it back down, but we'll fasten it on that end and walk it back down. It'll be kind of loosey-goosey for a little bit.
All right, so we're going to start pulling this, unrolling this, and it's 7 foot wide and it comes folded in half. So when we find the center, we kind of want to put it in the center of the hoop so that we have enough on both sides to put the sandbags on it. And first thing we're going to do is tie it with a zip tie on this end. So I'm just gathering it all up so it's evenly distributed. Do is I'm just basically going to fold it over and put the zip tie around it. And pull it tight. After we have it all pulled out all the way down the road, we're going to put a sandbag on here so this doesn't start going up and down and rubbing and eventually tearing that, so the sandbag will hold it down in place.
All that's next we need to do is start unrolling this and try to keep it somewhat controlled with all the wind, so let's do that. Yeah. For you. You want to go ahead and stick one sandbag right behind you, down right here? Yeah. There you go. There you go. Now, due to the wind, to help us out, Delia came down here and put tension, mainly focusing on the center line of the roll fabric, and I went down and I put sandbags along next to each of the hoops as indicated right there. Now we're ready to tie off around the very end, so Delia is going to show you how she does that.
So basically I'm going to do the same thing I did over there, but I'm pulling it tight. And we have a lot left over on this side, but I'm just going to tuck it underneath it. And so I'm just going to pull it tight and go around and then put a zip tie on this side also. And pull it tight, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll put a bag over here, and I'm just going to tuck this at the end, away from those little plants. And then we're going to put a sandbag right here to keep it from flopping up and down. Okay, now we just have to put the sandbags on the other side.
So everything is pretty much done other than putting the rest of the sandbags on this side of it, which will in fact taunt our fabric up. I'll show you what I'm talking about here, and we'll make it nice and taut, and we put it beside each of these. Now the thing is, we found out when it's getting warm, we're in the 80s right now. Let's step over here. Something that we believe we need to do is come over here and take the sandbags off once it gets hot. Give these plants a little bit more of heat relief. I'll show you what we found. This is again our first year on it, but we think we got a little bit of burnt, a little bit of dryness in our broccoli, or I'm sorry, cauliflower right here. And this is our first day that they've been in here. How many days, Delia?
4, I think.
4 days. So the plants are showing a little bit of stress, and that could be a little bit of plant transplant shock. There is moisture in the soil. It's not a problem, but I do believe they were getting a little, but we do believe that it has more to do with it getting warm the last few days, mid 70s into the 80s. So we're going to be a little bit more aware on the hot days to go ahead, take the sandbags off of one side, try to give them a little bit of shade, especially these cool crops. You notice we put them on the shade cloth, kind of lean it to the west side to still offer a little bit of shade, but at the same token, it allows the heat to be removed from in there. I think it was just getting too hot inside of there. Nothing's hurt, nothing's done in a bad way, but it is something there that we noticed. Something that you're going to need to pay attention to when you're using row covers. This is our first time, and it's also our first 80-degree day, isn't it, Delia? So, I mean, I think our plants just got a little toasty from now on during the day. As long as the wind ain't too bad, we'll go ahead and we'll take off one side of the row cover, and we can use the sandbags on the other side to keep it. If it's real windy, we'll probably button them back up again, but when it's hot out, it's hot. So we don't want to burn up our plants either, so we'll let them go ahead and I think we caught them in just good time, but it's something there to pay attention to. Folks, I hope this kind of a video helps you. I hope you enjoy this type of stuff. I definitely see where the deer have been trying to get into this zone. Thank goodness we have that covered. Also, we've had some awfully cool nights. Guess what? The row covers are definitely helping us on that level. So I think all in all, I think we're on the right track of having ourselves a early summer harvest, early or late spring harvest, by having our cauliflower, cabbage, and broccoli already in the field while we're still here in March. So that's exciting. Hey folks, if you like these types of videos, do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Come grow with us.